Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Nazri Shahnaz from Shahnaz Interest in Emirhat. We are ID consultants and contractors for hospitals, both private and government in Malaysia. So today we'll be talking about inclusive design. Although I have touched this topic before, but I think before this it was more general, and today I will touch on a more specific understanding of inclusive design. Shahnaz Interiors has done over 25 projects in the last 3 years, and when I keep reading on inclusive design, it makes sense when some hospitals' designs are so much better than the rest. First of all, what is the importance of inclusive design? Number one, it creates inclusive society where everybody feel included in that settings. Number two, reduce stigma. Number three, provides or promotes independence, mobility and inclusive. Number four, improve quality of living without leaving anybody behind. Number five, provide opportunities for vulnerable people to be heard and also acknowledged. Who would benefit from inclusive design? Number one, client or patients. Number two, medical personnel. Number three, visitors. Everyone should actually benefit from it, because the idea of inclusive design is about moving away from standardizations. It's about adapting to everyone's needs if possible, and also moving towards specialized design where their requirements are put into practice in the design perspective. There are a few principles that I would like to touch on. And this principle, I would also provide examples of what we have done so far in the market. Number one, equitable use. Usually when you walk into a hospital, you would see some counters have a top layers, and then they also have a lower level layers, and these lower level layers supposed to help in providing visibilities for nurses behind the counters, as well as it is practical for patients with wheelchair to approach the counter or to ask them, and it is also suitable for children to match their height. Usually the normal standards for corridor is 1200 according to KKM compliant. However, we would suggest something wider so that we have extra space for wheelchairs, and then this is also to reduce fatigue among medical personnel. However, I'm saying this with cautions, wider corridors, not longer corridors, because longer corridors may cause medical team to be more tired as they have to walk around too far. And the idea behind it is to at least offer a cluster counters with perhaps shelves and medical supplies, so that once they have to walk from few rooms to another room, there's another counter that's serving the purpose. When we are designing for hospitals, we must be acknowledging the difference in patients in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of mobility and such. And because of that, when we are designing specifically for elderly patients, we must provide some contrast between the flooring and the wall, because some of them may not be able to see that well. And in addition to that, please avoid too much of glaring in the floor finishes. Next would be play area. I had some experience with other projects where play areas sometimes are located quite far from the corridor or away from their parents, so that may not be a good idea. However, having play area closer to parents and closer to corridors or waiting area is able to make patients feel much better, more relaxed, and able to also see what their children are doing. And usually what parents are not keen at play area is that sometimes the furniture have sharp edges. So for that, ID consultants or contractor must provide gaps or guards in order to protect children from injuries, and at the same time to provide play toys that is more suitable, easy to clean, and it's safe for patients in terms of the smell or chemicals and such. Because there's so many activities going on at the play area and children sometimes get excited, it is best that for the flooring we have to have a mat, like a rubber mat that is quite thick in order to protect them. In case they fall, they would not hit their head. All that I'm saying may look something that is logic or need to be considered, but sometimes during the process of doing these hospitals projects, some consultants may overlook. So my point is that even a simple, easy facts like this can be overlooked, and it is actually must and compulsory to be added on in hospital projects. Principle number 2, flexibility in use. So the flexibility that I'm talking about is for both patients and medical personnel. So for patients, we have, like I said, patients with different height, different age, different functions, different needs. So in setting of waiting area, we would have different kind of chair with armrest, without armrest, sturdy chair, so that we can help these individuals. At the same time, medical personnel such as doctors may also need furniture that is suitable for their work, that is adjustable to their heights and is convenient for them to write while checking on patients. It is usually a practice that in emergency department they would have counter with a different tier, and that the higher tier would serve the purpose of doctors writing descriptions or conditions of the patients. But in some hospitals, they prefer that the doctor sits behind the counter to do that reporting. I mean, all works well, but it depends on how the doctor wants it. And us being ID consultant, we have to provide them that options for them to be comfortable in the way that they work. The best idea while designing is to include everybody in the design process. In this case, if the 3D is already out, it is best to get consultations or feedbacks from doctors, medical personnel, and even patients that is walking into the hospital to know the practicality of the design in hand. Principle number 3, simple. When you're walking into a hospital, being a patient, despite how many times or how frequent do you visit a hospital, that feelings is the same. You feel anxious, you feel that you don't know what's going on, you might be losing some hope, and all this would keep happening again and again. Therefore, while we are designing for inclusive design, design has to be simple. It has to bring client from one point to another as easy as possible. What I'm referring is more of navigations and the signage for them to reach one place to another. So what we usually do is coding. What we do is that we provide coding for different floors. But there are some hospitals that prefer coding according to some areas. That means in a single floor they would have different colors. That would also work. However, the idea is not to give so sharp colors that makes people feel more anxious. Bottom line is to give patients a sense of competence, independence, and ease of finding wayfindings, and also without asking for assistance. So this video touched on only 3 design principles with examples. There will be a few more rounds of videos touching on other principles as well. So thank you so much for watching. See you again.